Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and today I have got some fun ladder action. It's a 1v1, it is between two cool players and it is a TvT. And the reason it is a TvT is because I was looking through my video manager on YouTube like, yep, done lots of games, that's good, good work, pat on the back Madals. And I was also sitting there thinking, there haven't been many Terran games later, how can I fix this? Well, it's simple. You cast two Terran players at once, and that is how you make it all work swish. Now, I'm going to introduce these two and then go over some important, interesting, exciting bits of news. So, in the bottom right position, we have the blue Terran player. It is Shodan. And his opponent in the top left of Aquilon Waste from Team Millennium, the red Terran player, Lalush. So, I promised everyone exciting things, really exciting things that are going to blow your mind and make you feel spectacularly enthusiastic, I do hope. When this video is released, it'll already be occurring, but I've got some great news. I am casting the WCS EU Challenger Series. It will be on the official WCS EU 2 channel, and you can check it all out, and it will be beautiful. It will be incredible. It's really swish, so make sure you follow me on Twitter to know when it all goes live and things like that, and that's going to be all throughout the month. And there's some great players already. The first qualifier was today, and there were some incredible people. And I'm not going to give any spoilers because I don't know who has seen it, who hasn't seen it, but wow, it was good. Now, the other cool bit of news I can tell you all is that during the WCS EU Challenger Series, I'm going to literally take one day's break because I'm going out to the Netherlands. I'm going to be casting the Dutch StarCraft League Finals on the 1st of June, live from The Hague, and it is going to be cool. So I then basically fly out there. Luckily there's no WCS on that weekend, so I just missed the Friday to fly out. Then the Saturday I cast, the Sunday I fly back to start WCS EU again on Monday. How cool is this? It's awesome. Now, in terms of the strategy going on in this game, which I should probably talk a little bit about, we have got one gas and one Rax for each player, so nothing too crazy. We've got Shodan thinking outside the box by getting down a factory, and I'm sure Lalush will get one soon as well, or get a reactor down. Now this is a bit of a variation, getting the reactor. The Marine is out. The first Marine not yet out for Shodan. He skipped that in order to get down this factory slightly quicker. Lalush is going to be taking a command center, and that I knew preemptively because of the minerals banking up. So a really quick one Rax expand. The reactor just means that you're going to be able to pump out more units and be slightly safer. That's up against Shodan, who's getting down the factory and therefore going to be playing a little bit more aggressively. Now, the lack of a second gas, that's something we need to talk about. When the second gas is taken, will influence a lot about what Shodan's doing, whether there will be a command center anytime soon, or if it's just going to be a one-base play. The first Hellion coming out, here comes the starport as well, so this could very well, it is going to be some drop play. It's going to be most likely Hellions pushing in the front, Marines dropping in the back. It's the most common way you'll see it done, and it works very effectively. Lalush does have his command center half done. He's also got his factory starting as I speak. The Marines are trickling out, going to make the defense a little bit easier, but the Hellions of course going to come out, get map control, take a look around, make sure that there's nothing really coming towards him, and get a good scout. That's something that Lalush will not have, but just if the Hellion is revealed, if it pushes up the ramp and gets spotted, it will tell Lalush a lot about what his opponent's doing, and that ultimately that factory came down a lot sooner. But with a tech lab, this isn't actually going to be drop play, it's going to be a Banshee, which is something I have not seen in quite a long time. Lalush now getting down his own starport, and this is all getting pretty fun. The switcheroo goes down. We've got the expansion on its way for Shodan a bit later, but obviously at the natural base location as opposed to in the main. That just means that he doesn't have to float it down, saving himself a little bit of time. The Hellion took some damage, so the build has been revealed that the factory came out quickly, but there's going to be no way to know this Banshee is on its way out, and Lalush is just pumping out some Hellions. The Marine count is looking quite comfortable. Let's face it, there's 5 down, 6th on the way. There's going to be quite a few of them by the time the Banshee does get across, but if on Aquilon Waste there's so much dead space that you can really exploit that and try to get a really solid lead coming in, getting off some SCVs, and ultimately trying to deal damage that will put you in a good position economically into the mid-game and late game. Lalush though, with a couple of Widow Mines, if these burrow up around the edge of the base, not in the mineral line because that will kill your SCVs, but around the edge, can do a lot of damage to the Banshee, which would be exceptionally good. But the Banshee is now revealed as it attacks these two Hellions. Nice little spot here from Lalush, and means that ultimately Shodan is not going to have too much of a fun time trying to deal with this, because the Marines already pulled back, knowing exactly what's coming out. There is no second Banshee in production instead of Vikings, so just a single Banshee. Going to try and do a little bit of fire, but ultimately with the engineering bay, with the Widow Mines here, this Banshee's going to have a tough time. It's going to probably take quite a significant amount of damage. The Marines are also chilling around. We see that the SCV building that barracks did not get taken out. The engineering bay SCV should go down. That's going to delay the engineering bay a little bit, but here comes the Widow Mine shot, and it is going to go off. Luckily, the Banshee survives with 3 health. Will be able to get away, but obviously, unless it comes back and gets repaired, could have a massive amount of problems. The natural has been taken for Lalush. The orbital command is completed. The orbital command also completed for Shodan. And if we look at the work account, Shodan's actually ahead 29 to 26. Nice little spot to be in. This is quite a passive game at the moment, bar this Banshee that didn't really do very much. Just a single worker was killed, and that was the one building the engineering bay. But with the Widow Mines here, with the second gas being taken, Lalush isn't in any problem. Supply blocked slightly, but hopefully that should get alleviated shortly. And yep, oh, actually no, it won't do, because the supply depots weren't coming down until just now. This is a real big problem. There's not even command center finishing up soon to really alleviate that. This is a big supply block, something Lalush could have done without. Look at the supply difference as well. That is huge. Shodan are doing really nicely here at the moment. Ultimately, Shodan just going to be able to take map control, keep getting dominance in the air with these Vikings getting pumped out. He's getting down additional factories, so we'll be going mech, and this supply advantage again when you're going mech is oh so good. It's absolutely spectacular and means that you're going to be in a magnificent position going forward. Lalush has finally broken that supply block and can start producing units again. The armory coming down for Shodan, and mech, why it's good is because ultimately you can go into Hellbats, which is really strong. You can also start getting out a lot of Widow Mines, which are great against Marines, and just means that ultimately this bio could have a bit of a tough time. But the supply difference is what I'm really noticing, and also the worker count difference. Shodan up at 41 to 34 SCVs. Equal number of mules just means that economically Shodan's in a good spot. We can see that represented by just the mineral income they're getting. Lalush does have the 3rd gas though, so it is able to pull slightly ahead there. There's also a bit of energy banking up somewhere. That's why the mules aren't coming down, and just means that ultimately that's why the mineral income's looking a bit different. But this is fine for the moment because the game is relatively passive. There's nothing too much to be scared about. The Widow Mines are starting to move forward though, and that is something to be scared about. Let's face it, Widow Mines are terrifying. The Vikings just being kept here for drop defense, because if your opponent is going infantry, as you know they are, then drops are going to be likely to play a large part in that. But with the 3 Vikings here, and even a Widow Mine now, drops are going to have to be very cautious coming in. And if you lose a medevac full of units while doing no damage, then ultimately you're losing a lot of resources for nothing. It's a great engagement for Shodan, and a very bad engagement for Lalush. But Lalush getting down the 3rd orbital command. We see the 3rd command center already finished though for Shodan, so he's going to be ahead even with this. Economically, he's in a fantastic spot. His 4 gases are up and running. The 4th just finishing up here for the Millennium player. More tech labs, more add-ons being added down. We've got the engineering bay allowing, of course, for the upgrades to continue. We've got +1, +2 will get started attack-wise for Lalush shortly. We've got +1 Terran vehicle weapons on the way for Shodan, and Infernal Pre-Igniters, otherwise known as Blue Flame, nearly completed, allowing these Hellions to do a lot more damage. So this is where things start getting quite interesting. These two very passive. I'm surprised that Shodan hasn't, well, not actually Shodan, Lalush hasn't been more aggressive against Shodan, especially with drops, because that's the key thing you get from going infantry. But with only a couple of medevacs, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. And I say a couple, it's a single medevac is all that's out. Nothing else being produced from this starport for the moment. There's no Banshee or anything like that, even though there's a tech lab there, but a Raven is going to be the unit of choice. The Banshee, though, for Shodan, just threatening yet again. If we look up for the defense here, there is a missile turret and a Widow Mine, so that will get shut down very hard if it tries to move in. It would be an exceptionally bad position for a Banshee to try and go to, but this is fine for Shodan because he knows his opponent isn't pushing out. If we look at his Widow Mine placement, they're through all of the common attack paths, also on these 2 cliffs, granting him vision and also potential to kill some units. Really smart move, and just means that he's keeping this map dominance. He feels safe. That's what it's allowed him to take this 3rd so much quicker than that of Lalush's. But Lalush has the 4th orbital command on its way down. The worker count sitting here at 63 to 47. Shodan far ahead. His income looking way nicer, both gas and minerals, because he's on 6 mining gas compared to just 4 of Lalush. And if you can keep that lead, you can keep that advantage, you're going to be able to get out more tech units and ultimately have a much stronger, more powerful army going into the later stages. And at the 13-minute 30 mark, we are starting to get further on. Very passive, very macro game at the moment. Shodan clearly worried a bit about drops, so building a lot of missile turrets all around the edge here, just making sure that there's no way that any drops can come into play and do anything too dangerous. A barracks actually going to come and scout, but Lalush moving forward. But look at this engagement he's going to have to try and push into. There is the Widow Mine there. This is why the Raven is going to be oh so important, to pick off any Widow Mines around the map to make sure that nothing goes down. But the Raven actually takes a shot from the Widow Mine. That is not something that you want to be happening, because now that is such an easy target, and if it goes down, there's no detection. The Hellions are coming, just checking up to see if there's a third up to the side there. In terms of defense, there's not really anything here. The scan goes off, and what are we going to see here from Lalush? Well, he comes up, but look at these blue flame Hellions annihilate everything, and the infantry is on move command. Oh, this is painful to watch. This is exceptionally painful to watch. So much of this army going down, even tanks dying to these Hellions, and Lalush move commanding. Oh dear. And the reason the camera wasn't moving is because I literally facepalmed there. I was just like, no, why did that happen? That was so unfortunate for the Millennium player. A misclick that could potentially cost him the game. Now, in terms of the resources lost, just look at that difference. Shodan being so cost effective with a better economy as well. This is not a nice situation for the Red Terran player at the moment. But luckily, Lalush does have his 4th orbital command down, whereas Shodan only has a 4th command center floating over to go and take his 4th base, though that'll bring him up to 8 gases if he takes it quickly. Keeping the Widow Mines and Vikings around, he's so secure against the drops. Lalush moving forward, but it's such a risky move, and there's no Raven either with this army. Where is the Raven? Has it died? It has. So that means without the detection, these Widow Mines scattered across the map could be running into a little bit of problems. That Marine goes down. This lucky little Widow Mine forces a scan. That means a scan is not a mule. The income for Lalush, that's already behind just purely in work count, is also getting further behind in terms of the workers. Another scan going off. Shodan just saying, can I go in? Can I engage this with these blue flame Hellions? Utilizing their mobility and agility so effectively, allowing him to really take the map dominance. Coming in for a bit of a counter push, but quite a few Marauders there just mean the Hellions are not going to have much fun. Concussive Shell is not done, and that means Lalush can't slow them to really engage them effectively. But in terms of upgrades, 2-1 up against 2-0. Slightly better upgrades for the infantry army, but these Hellions will now get shut down. A lot of damage being done. Shodan can't afford to just sacrifice these units, but he can afford to get these tanks into a good position, and Lalush has to be oh so cautious. Widow Mines creeping forward. Oh, Widow Mines, what are you going to do? The Vikings just going to try and bait some units forward into this. The tanks already get some good shots off them. If the medevacs go down, then of course the infantry going to be far less effective. Any shots you get off here, just use some of that energy on the medevacs, making them less effective moving forward. And this is the slow creep forward. It's the movement, the scuttling of the Widow Mines. They do burrow up. Advanced drilling. Oh, drilling clause is not researched, so that means they take a little bit longer than Shodan would like. Needs to get that going into the late game. But he's just got oh so many tanks, more reinforcements on their way across. The one thing missing from his army is potentially the fact he has no Hellbats to really tank up some damage and zone out the infantry, allowing the tanks to do all the damage. But now this is just looking so good. Shodan getting a tremendous amount of supply. He's got the Banshee coming out, a marvellous time, and he's got the SCV advantage and the base advantage. Obviously, Lalush has just taken this 4th base with the orbital command, desperate to try and defend it, and it's unbeknown at the moment to Shodan, who hasn't actually scouted down here to see. But the problem being is that there's so many units out at the moment. The tanks are just going to start creeping forward. This is precisely, though, what Lalush needs to do, but just with more units. He can't push into just even 3 tanks. How is he going to deal with the 18 in total on the map? Not looking too fun. The Vikings just creeping up closer. They, of course, give the vision of the high ground. Shodan getting out some Ravens in addition to this. Tank-on-tank action is occurring, but we can see that Shodan obviously has tanks to spare, whereas Lalush does not, with only 1 remaining now. This tank line looking oh so scary. The air battles going on are going in the blue Terran favour. Meanwhile, we've got the infantry trying to push in from the side, but just so many tanks here shredding through all of this army like a hot knife through butter. But with a much better attack arc, it looks like Lalush is actually going to do okay, hugging up with those Marauders, trying to pick off the tanks. Will be able to hold off for the time being, but Shodan scouts the bottom left base. That is what Lalush so desperately needed to stay in this game, forcing a lift already. And as we can see, in terms of the worker count, Lalush is starting to catch up, but finally with some Hellbats, Shodan just creeping forward yet again. The tank's up on the high ground here, in range, or just out of range, surprisingly, of that command center. Or it would be in range if there was vision. So that's the one thing that could go down. But of course, as we can see, Medevac's dying for nothing, and that's not what you want ever. Units dying for nothing. Shodan being so much more cost effective, nearly double the resources lost for Lalush compared to that of his opponent. We've got this orbital command just coming to chill down here, but also a command center going to beat it to it. And this is going to be a landing race now, which Lalush will win. The tank's creeping forward though for Shodan. Lalush's third is going to be in a lot of problems, and this is just such a scary position, because how are you going to defend this base when there's so many tanks here in such a good position? The SCV is being forced back. That means a lost mining time. The Vikings though are coming out. We've got a lot of Hellions trying to catch out these units, moving across the other side of the map, and Shodan just taking all of the bases while we see this going on, and this is just allowing him to get such a good economy. The Hellbats really trying to engage, but so many Marauders there. Seeker missiles do start to go down, and only a handful of Marauders remaining, loading up 5 in total, and this may be able to do a little bit of pain down to this bottom, to this base on the right. But as we can see, Shodan is just going to land next to this and just be like, well, we can both mine. Let's just have it that way. The lift coming out at the command center at the top right. Lalush as well as Shodan taking all of the expansions, doing his best. A planetary fortress actually being made here. Just like, I'm going to kill your base with my base, because that just seems like an awesome thing to do. And ultimately you've got a planetary fortress there as well. Now, ultimately, this is where we start getting into a bit more of the late game, and Marauder getting taken down there. It's all going to come down to actually who can engage the best, who can get the best angles. And as we can see at the moment, Shodan has denied this third base. Meanwhile, we've got 4 bases comfortably, or what were 4 mining bases going comfortably for Shodan. Lalush needs this base to the right. He's loading up a Doom drop coming down to the right here, but he's going to fly straight into some Vikings and also some Banshee. This planetary fortress has had enough of this orbital command. It's just like, no, you are going to die, and die it will. The Vikings are tearing apart this Doom drop though. This could be the end of the game. So many units going down, Seeker missiles even being triggered, and well, this is rather painful to watch. Oh, this one medevac boosting forward, going to try and do some damage, but only a handful of Marauders here. The SCVs may as well try and fly. At the same time though, the other side of the map, some Hellbats pushing in. This is looking so much like Shodan's game. He's doing tremendously well, playing incredibly clever and really just holding so nicely. The tank line trying to get broken, but Shodan just building missile turrets everywhere. Tank lines that extend as far as the eye can see. And I think with this, Lalush has got no choice but to GG out, and there we go, leaving the game. So congratulations to Shodan. That was a fun little TvT. Started off quite passive, but Shodan really showing how good mech can be. If you enjoyed the cast, make sure you like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe, and I'll catch each and every one of you tomorrow as I get new games out daily. I'm Madals, bye for now.